After a late night shift, I came home to find my stuff in garbage bags, my wallet gone, and my wife telling me to get out. 3 days later, my phone was full of desperate apologies. Hey Reddit, I'm Jonah, 41M, and this happened about 6 months ago. I wasn't going to post this at all, honestly, but I've had too many sleepless nights going over the details in my head. Maybe getting it out will help. I work nights as a facility maintenance technician at a surgical center. It's the kind of job where nothing happens for hours, and then chaos breaks because someone burst a pipe or tripped the security system. I like it, though. Quiet halls, less small talk, decent pay. I've been doing it for 10 years. My wife, well, let's call her my wife for now. Her name's Camilla, 39F. We've been married 6 years. Lived in a quiet apartment complex on the edge of town, nothing fancy. We didn't throw parties or go on big trips, but it was home. I usually get back around 7 a.m. Camilla leaves for work a little before 8, so we cross paths briefly. I'll hand her a coffee, she'll kiss my cheek, and that's our little routine. I sleep while she's at work. She makes dinner while I'm getting ready for mine. Rinse, repeat. But over the past couple of months, I noticed something off. Camilla was always close with her older brother, Marcus, 43M. He's one of those guys who never seems to have a job, but always has a business venture going. The kind of guy who treats everyone like they owe him something. I never liked him, but I kept my mouth shut because family's family, right? Then he started hanging around more. I'd find his shoes by the door when I came home, his voice echoing through the walls while I was trying to sleep. Once, I walked into the kitchen at 2 p.m., groggy and half-dressed, and there he was making himself eggs like he owned the place. He didn't even look up. I asked Camilla what was going on, and she just said, "He's in between places right now. It's temporary." That word, temporary. It became her go-to line. I should have known better. At first, I tried to be understanding. Everyone hits a rough patch. But Marcus wasn't acting like a guest. He was acting like a roommate who didn't pay rent. He'd leave dishes in the sink, move my tools off the counter when I was working on small repairs, and once, he even used my razor. My actual face razor. That one set me off. I told Camilla, calmly but firmly, that I needed boundaries. I was working overnight shifts and getting barely any rest because her brother thought our home was a lounge. She didn't take it well. "You've never liked Marcus. Don't pretend this is about sleep. It is about sleep. It's about respect. He's not even trying to leave. Has he even looked for a place? He's going through something, Jonah. Why is your first instinct to push him out? It wasn't the first fight, and it wouldn't be the last. Things got colder between us. Not explosive, just weird. Quiet. She stopped leaving food for me in the fridge. I stopped texting her on break. I'd catch her whispering on the phone sometimes and stopping the second I walked in. Then one morning, everything hit a wall. I pulled into the lot, exhausted from a 12-hour shift where the HVAC system decided to die mid-operation. I just wanted to shower, eat something small, and collapse into bed. But when I opened the door, I froze. Garbage bags. 6 or 7 of them, stacked near the entrance. My duffel bag on top. My boots beside them. One of the bags was half open. I saw my uniform inside, still dirty from the day before. And Camilla standing in the hallway. Arms crossed. Expression flat. "You need to leave," she said. Just like that. Like she was telling me I left the milk out. I blinked, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. "What? You can't stay here. You're not welcome in this apartment anymore." I just stared at her. "Camilla, what are you talking about? This is my apartment too." She didn't flinch. "Not anymore. You've made it impossible to live here. Because I asked your brother to stop using my razor?" She rolled her eyes. "Because you make everyone feel uncomfortable. You've got this dark energy lately." I almost laughed. "I make people uncomfortable? I haven't slept through the day in weeks because your brother is here yelling on speakerphone. You never even asked me if he could stay. I came home one day, and he was just there." "I'm not having this conversation again," she said, and walked into the bedroom. I stood there, stunned. The bags were real. The coldness in her voice, real. But it wasn't until I reached for my coat that I realized my wallet was missing. I always left it in the side pocket, right inside the door. Gone. I went through the bags. Nothing. My laptop was gone too. The charging cable was coiled neatly where it used to sit. But the device? Vanished. I knocked on the bedroom door. Camilla, where's my wallet? No response. I knocked harder. Camilla, this isn't a game. Where is it? She opened the door just a crack and said, "Ask Marcus." Then shut it again. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just a temporary rough patch. This was something else. Something deeper. Colder. I left. 3 days passed. Radio silence. I stayed on my buddy Seth's couch, trying to piece everything together, wondering what had just happened. And then the text started. Camilla. Then Marcus. Then her again. Hey, can we talk? Please call me. You don't understand the whole story. I made a mistake. The voice message came in around 11:30 at night. I was sitting on Seth's couch, still in my work clothes, sipping cold coffee and staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed once. Then again. I let it sit there on the coffee table for a while, lighting up every few seconds with new messages. Most of them from Camilla. A few from numbers I didn't recognize, probably Marcus using different phones because that's the kind of guy he is. Always thinks he's clever, always has a side hustle, always knows someone who owes him a favor. But that voice message? That one got me. Camilla's voice soft, shaky, like she was on the verge of crying. I almost didn't recognize it. Jonah, please. I know how it looked. I know you're angry. But I need to explain. It wasn't supposed to go like that. Marcus, he got in my head. Just call me, okay? Please. Just please. And then silence. She sounded scared. Not apologetic, scared. I stared at the phone like it might start talking again. I didn't call her. Not yet. Instead, I opened up the Notes app on my phone and started listing out what I remembered, details. What I'd seen. What was missing. What was said. Seth walked in a few minutes later. He had just gotten off his own shift. He works nights too, at a 24-hour distribution center, and tossed a greasy bag of food on the coffee table. You hear from her? He asked, mouth already full of fries. I nodded. Voice message. She's sorry. Wants me to call. He shook his head. Don't. I won't, I said, and I meant it. Not yet. We sat in silence for a bit, just the hum of the fridge filling the space. You think she's really scared? He asked finally. I looked at him. Yeah, but not of me. That's the thing. I know Camilla. For all her coldness that morning, all the ice in her voice, she's not the kind of person who plans things. She reacts. She lets other people push her around. And Marcus? He lives for control. That guy's a manipulator with a god complex. Over the next couple of days, more messages came in. A few were Camilla's usual tactic. Let's just talk. This got blown out of proportion. You're making this worse. But others, they slipped. One text read, Marcus said you were out of the picture. That it was better this way. I thought, never mind. Just call me. That was the first time I realized something deeper might be going on. It wasn't just a bad fight. It wasn't just Camilla being emotionally distant or me being tired from work and short-tempered. Marcus had been planning something, and Camilla had been part of it, willingly or not. So I started digging. First thing I did was log into our joint bank account. Well, what used to be a joint account. When we got married, we agreed to keep most of our finances separate, but we had one account for rent, utilities, groceries, the basics. I deposit a flat amount every 2 weeks. It was her job to pay the bills from it. I trusted her with that. So imagine my surprise when I logged in and saw the balance. $13.74 that account used to have over $4,000. Enough for rent, insurance, and a couple months' worth of utilities at least. No? Nothing. I scrolled through the transactions. 2 large withdrawals. One for $2,200 labeled cash ATM. The other, a $1,000 Venmo transfer to a name I didn't recognize. A few Uber Eats orders. A weird $400 charge from an electronics store. All of it within the last 3 weeks. All of it before she kicked me out. I texted her, "Where's the rent money, Camilla?" She read it. No reply. 10 minutes later, another message popped up. "Jonah, please." I didn't know what he was doing. He said it was just for a few days. I didn't respond. Instead, I looked up the name on the Venmo transfer. The guy had a public profile, classic Marcus contact. One of those entrepreneur types with a private story highlight called My Hustle. Bitcoin emojis everywhere. The guy was tagged in a couple photos with Marcus on a boat. The boat, I now realized, was probably rented using my rent money. So that's where we were. I was sleeping on a couch, wearing the same pair of jeans 3 days in a row, while Marcus was on a boat with someone named Bryce posting motivational quotes about loyalty. I don't know how long I sat there with my hands clenched, but at some point I just started laughing. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. The betrayal didn't come all at once. It came in layers. Camilla letting him stay. Camilla defending him. Camilla letting him use me, steal from me. And worst of all, Camilla helping cover it up. Because let's be honest, she knew. Maybe not every detail, maybe not how deep it went, but she knew enough. And she still looked me in the eye and told me to get out like I was some stranger off the street. She let him take over my home, my life. And now? Now she wanted to talk. I stared at her most recent message. "You don't understand the position I was in." No, I didn't. But I was going to. Because I wasn't just going to sit around anymore waiting for them to come clean. I was going to dig until I found everything. I didn't respond to Camilla's texts after that. I let the silence sit like a weight in her inbox. And I waited. Not because I didn't want to scream at her. I did. But if I'd lashed out too soon, I would have lost all leverage. And I needed to see the whole board before I made my first move. The next morning, I called out sick from work for the first time in years. Told my supervisor I had a family emergency, which wasn't even a lie. Then I grabbed a notebook, a burner email account, and started assembling everything I had. I wasn't just going after Marcus. I was going after both of them. And I wasn't going to do it with fists or yelling. I was going to do it with facts, paper trails, and the kind of calm that only comes from being completely done. The first thing I did was talk to my landlord. We rented directly from a small management company, only 10 units in our building. I dealt with the property manager before, a woman named Tasha. She knew me. She liked me. And most importantly, the lease was in my name only. Camilla had moved in after the fact and never signed a renewal. That was going to be useful. I scheduled a meeting with Tasha that afternoon and told her everything. I didn't dramatize it, just laid it all out. That I had been unlawfully locked out. That I hadn't received a legal notice to vacate. That a third party, Marcus, was now living in my unit without permission or leaseholder status. I even showed her screenshots of Camilla's texts and pictures I took of the garbage bags when I came home. Tasha blinked at me, then leaned back in her chair. "Yeah. No. That's not going to fly. You're the tenant. If someone locked you out, that's a violation." She pulled out a form and handed it to me. "You want to initiate a lockout complaint? I'll back you up." I signed the paper right there. That was step 1. Step 2 was financial. I opened a fraud report with our bank, explained that joint funds had been drained without my knowledge or consent, told them I hadn't made or authorized the withdrawals. Since the account was under both names, it got flagged for investigation. I didn't know if it would stick, but I did know it would freeze the account for a while. That meant Marcus and Camilla weren't getting access to anything until the bank sorted it out. But I wasn't done yet. Because it turns out, when someone uses your identity or your cards, you have the right to request security footage from certain places. I called the bank branch where the ATM withdrawal had happened and submitted a formal request. They told me it could take a few days, but I was already 2 steps ahead. While I waited, I contacted Bryce, the guy Marcus sent the $1,000 Venmo transfer to. I didn't threaten him. I didn't even mention Marcus. I just said I was a friend of Mark's and was looking to get into crypto and high-yield flipping, whatever that means. Told him I saw his Instagram and thought he might be able to mentor me. He replied within 10 minutes. A few messages later, he sent me a full breakdown of his services, including a price list and, get this, a screenshot of previous transactions to prove his success. Guess whose name and profile picture showed up in those screenshots? Camilla's, not Marcus's. She'd made the transfer. Not only was she involved, she was active in the scam. I screenshotted everything. Step 3 was legal, but I didn't go to a lawyer, not yet. I went to an old high school classmate, Carla, who worked at a local courthouse and owed me a favor for helping her dad out a few years back when I fixed his busted water heater for free. Carla pulled some strings and found out Marcus had a pending civil suit from 2 years ago for breach of contract. It had been dismissed without prejudice, which meant it could be reopened if someone presented new information. That gave me an idea, because if Marcus had a history of shady business deals, and now I had proof of unauthorized transactions, fraud, and possible identity theft, I could bury him. That weekend, I went back to the apartment. I didn't knock. I didn't text. I used my key, the one they didn't know I still had. Camilla had changed the front doorknob, but she forgot about the back patio slider. Rookie mistake. I slipped in quietly, early in the morning. They weren't home. The place was a mess. Takeout boxes everywhere. My gaming console was gone. My speakers. Even my old toolbox, the one I'd had since college, it was missing. They didn't even try to hide it. I walked straight to the bedroom and found what I was looking for. My wallet. Stuffed in the top drawer of Camilla's nightstand, next to a stack of cheap jewelry and a vape pen. Cash was gone. Cards too. But the ID was still there. I took it all, along with a USB drive that was labeled Taxes 2022 sitting beside her laptop. Then I left. 3 hours later, I was sitting with Tasha again, this time with a locksmith she'd hired. We walked in through the front and changed the locks. Legally. Because I was the tenant. Because Marcus was a squatter. And because Camilla had, by all accounts, unlawfully evicted me. I told her I'd give her 24 hours to pick up her things with me present. After that, anything left behind was mine to toss. I left a note on the kitchen table. You wanted me out. Now you are. Please contact me only through email moving forward. That night, around 1 a.m., my phone lit up again. 10 missed calls. 2 voicemails. A string of angry, panicked texts. From Marcus. You changed the locks? You can't just do that, man. We need to talk. Camilla's freaking out. I didn't respond. I just smiled. Because now, they were the ones on the outside looking in. By the time Monday rolled around, the silence from me was working better than any comeback ever could. I kept my phone on Do Not Disturb and only checked it when I felt like it, which wasn't often. I'd already said everything I needed to. The facts were doing the talking now. The day after I changed the locks, Camilla emailed me. Not text. Not a call. A full-on email with the subject line, "Please, I need to get my stuff." She didn't open with an apology. She opened with an excuse. I didn't know Marcus had been using our money like that. I only agreed to let him stay for a week, and then things spiraled. He told me he'd pay you back. I panicked when you came home. I thought you'd blow up, and I didn't know what to do. That last sentence stuck with me. I didn't know what to do. Funny. She seemed to know exactly what to do when she stuffed my clothes in trash bags and let Marcus walk around our apartment like he owned the place. She knew what to do when she handed over our joint funds. When she looked me in the eye and told me to leave, like I was the intruder. What she didn't count on was that I'd handle it quietly, that I wouldn't scream or beg, that I'd walk away and start pulling strings. So I replied, "You can pick up your things Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'll be there. You'll have 1 hour. Anything left behind after that gets tossed." She replied within minutes, "Can Marcus come with me?" I didn't even answer. Wednesday rolled around. Seth came with me, not because I was scared, but because I didn't trust either of them not to try something. He parked across the street, out of sight but close enough. Camilla showed up alone. She looked different. Not just tired, but smaller, somehow. Her usual sharpness was gone. No lipstick. No jacket, even though it was windy out. She stood in the doorway like she didn't recognize the place anymore. I opened the door, said nothing, and stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like she thought I might slam it behind her. I didn't. I just leaned against the hallway wall and watched. She didn't ask how I was. Didn't ask if we could talk. She just started gathering her things, some clothes, her makeup bag, a few chargers. She paused once, picking up a framed photo off the bookshelf. It was from a trip we took to Denver 2 years ago. She stared at it for a second, then put it face down and left it. About halfway through, she finally looked at me. I didn't know he was going to use the money like that, she said quietly. I didn't reply, just watched. And I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear, Jonah, I was scared. Of what? I asked. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She didn't have a real answer. She never did. I let her finish in silence. She was gone in under an hour, just like I said. I locked the door behind her and didn't look out the window as she left. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. But Marcus? I wasn't done with him. Because while Camilla was busy picking up her things, the bank's fraud team had finally gotten back to me. The footage from the ATM? Marcus. Clear as day. Hoodie. Smug look. Using my card. They'd already suspended the account, but now they had proof. The rep told me they were filing a report and that I could, if I wanted, move forward with pressing charges. All I had to do was sign off on it. And I wasn't hesitating anymore. The last straw came 2 days later. I was walking back from the grocery store when I saw Marcus. He was waiting outside the building, hands in his pockets. Hoodie again. I kept walking. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. Yo, Jonah. His voice followed me. Come on, man. We gotta talk. I turned slowly. We really don't. He gave a quick, humorless laugh. Okay, I get it. You're mad. But it wasn't personal. Cam said it was fine. I thought you guys broke up. I stared at him. You stole my money. It was for a business investment, bro. It was temporary. You used my card. On camera. At the ATM. He froze. I saw it in his eyes, the flicker of realization that I wasn't bluffing. I've already reported it, I said. You should start thinking about getting a lawyer. He started to say something, but I turned and walked inside. Calm. No yelling. No threats. That was the last time I saw him in person. After that run-in with Marcus, I didn't see or hear from him again. Not directly, anyway. But a week later, I got a call from the local PD. Short, polite. They just wanted to confirm a few details for the fraud case. I told them what I knew, sent the emails, the bank report, and the screenshots. That was that. No handcuffs. No courtroom drama. Just a file with Marcus's name on it and a process I didn't need to micromanage. And that was fine with me. Camilla tried to reach out again, a few more times. First through email, then a handwritten note she left in the mailbox. I know you hate me. I don't blame you. I was lost and I made a mess. I'm sorry, Jonah. Not because I got caught, but because I wrecked the best thing I had. I read it once, folded it, and threw it in the back of a drawer. I didn't feel satisfaction or anger. Just tired. It was like waking up from a long, heavy sleep. The kind where you forget where you are for a minute. The apartment felt emptier at first. Not just in the physical sense, though yeah, it was quiet. A little too quiet. But there was something good about it, too. I rearranged the furniture. Got a new set of sheets. Started cooking again, real meals, not just frozen stuff. I even brought my old record player out of storage and set it up near the window. It was the first time the space felt like mine. I closed the joint bank account for good and opened a new one in just my name. Called the utility companies, updated the lease officially, scrubbed every trace of them from my accounts and files. It took time, and it wasn't exciting, but it felt like wiping a fogged-up mirror clean. A few people at work eventually heard some version of the story, word travels. Seth never said much, just gave me space and checked in every so often. I appreciated that. Most people didn't pry, though one of the newer guys asked, "So what happened with that roommate of yours?" I just shrugged. He's not around anymore. It wasn't the kind of story I needed to retell. A month later, I got a letter from the bank. The fraud claim had been officially resolved in my favor. Partial refund, not the full amount, but enough to feel like something had been made right. I didn't celebrate. Just took the check, deposited it, and made a note to never share access to anything important again. As for Marcus, heard through a mutual acquaintance he was couch hopping, burned through whatever business venture money he had and couldn't keep a steady job. Word was, his name had been flagged at more than one bank. Camilla moved back in with her mom temporarily. I don't know what she's doing now. I don't ask. I don't look. I didn't need a dramatic downfall for either of them. I wasn't waiting for karma to hit like a train. The quiet unraveling was enough. These days, things are simple. Not perfect, but mine. I started taking long walks after work, something I never made time for before. I picked up a side project fixing up old electronics. I even joined a small hiking group through a community app, figured it was time to meet people outside of my usual circle. No one in that group knows anything about Camilla or Marcus or what happened in that messy apartment on that quiet street. And I like it that way, because the best revenge, I realized, wasn't in tearing them down. It was in rebuilding myself, quietly, fully, on my own terms. And when I lock my door at night now, I don't worry about who's on the other side. I know exactly who lives here. Just me. And I'm good with that.